G'day viewers. In this segment I'm going to talk briefly about the organisation of the remaining lectures. But first, congratulations. We've already covered protocols and layering, which is the main organising principle for the structure of networks. That means you're familiar with diagrams like this, which show the functionality that's been used to support a particular application, as well as this diagram, which shows you the reference model by which the Internet protocols are organised, some of the common protocols, where they fit, as well as the narrow waist of the Internet and why IP plays a key role for the Internet. The reference model that we'll use for the remainder of this course is this 5-layer stack that's shown here. You can see from this stack that we'll mostly follow the Internet model with some changes. We're going to tell you a little bit more about the physical layer, which is involved in how you send bits of information using signals. This layer is particularly important if you care about wireless networks and so forth. And we're also going to cover a little bit of material just on some alternatives to the Internet. You'll note, for instance, that the middle layer here is called the network layer rather than the Internet layer. We will explain to you how the Internet works, but there are also different ways of building networks. And we'll try and point out some of these alternatives as we go along. Our lectures in the remainder of this course are going to progress through that material bottom up. So that means we're going to start down at the physical layer, and then we'll work our way up through the link, network, transport and application layers. We feel that by working bottom up, you gain a very detailed appreciation for how the network works. It takes all of the mystery out of it, and you have a very solid foundation on which to build new knowledge. As we go up through some of the layers, you'll learn about technologies and protocols, which are probably already familiar to some of you, at least the names of it. So at the link layer, Ethernet and 802.11. At the network layer, as well as IP, we'll learn about technologies such as NAT and routing protocols such as BGP. At the transport layer, as well as TCP, there's a protocol called UDP, which is used for other applications. And of course, other applications such as HTTP to support all web usage and many other things that are web-like. DNS for naming, structures like content delivery networks, and so forth. After we go up through all of these layers and we've seen the whole structure of the Internet, something from every layer, we'll then delve into more detail in particular topics which will become more important in the future of the Internet. They include quality of service and security, where we'll cover mechanisms such as VPNs and SSL. And finally, one note on the textbook. So Computer Networks, the 5th edition, is an optional but recommended companion to this course. For those of you who don't have it, we'll do our best to make the course work, so you don't need to go out and buy it if you don't want to. We are used to teaching all of these courses using a textbook as a reference, so without one we may be a little short in some areas, so you should be prepared to do the odd web search to bridge a little bit of a gap, or work with your fellow students if we're not quite as clear as we should be on something. For those of you who do have it, I'll point out all of the section numbers that you've already seen in some of the lectures as we go through. This will allow you to know exactly what section is covered by which of the lectures. You can read those sections for more complete explanations of what's going on if we've gone through some of it quickly, as well as gain a lot of more depth in an area that you care about. Be sure to get the 5th edition pictured here because it's significantly different than the 4th edition. There are also e-texts as well as printed versions if you're after a cheaper option, and both the US and the international version will do. I will also sometimes point out additional topics that are in the book. There's a great deal of information in the book. We won't cover it all, but I'll provide pointers just for other areas where you might be interested in learning more about networks.